what I have called and dubbed the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport and Bossier, my home. I want to welcome aboard all of our friends from southern Arkansas and over in East Texas. Thank you for being there as well. Well, folks, I guess you know, unless you live on some alternate planet or in some alternate universe, as oftentimes we think we are living in, you know that tonight is the night for the Rumble at Hofstra University. And I think it just very well may turn out to be that in about 2.5 hours. And all of you need to know that you can stay tuned to 710 Keel, and the debate will be aired right here on these airwaves, 710 Keel at 8 p.m. tonight. As it was aired, not necessarily here on these airwaves 56 years ago, but airwaves across the nation 56 years ago tonight, and televised for the first time 56 years ago tonight, the very first political presidential debate, and that was Kennedy and Nixon. Interesting, those who heard the radio broadcast of the debate thought that Nixon won that thing. And those who heard it or saw it on television believed that Kennedy won the debate. And so you have a chance to analyze both. Stay tuned to 710 Keel tonight at 8 o'clock. We will broadcast the debate between Clinton and Trump, one that they are saying will draw 100 million viewers. And we don't know how many untold millions will hear it on radio. And you can hear it right here at 710 Keel. That's going to be coming from Hempstead, Long Island. Lovely place, Hofstra University. There, Trump, I believe, has been judged in many cases as a politician, which is wrong. I was with one of the most famous, if not the most famous, boxing promoters that history will record, and that's Don King, in Cleveland just a few days ago. You know Don King, Rumble in the Jungle, Thriller in Manila, the man who really promoted and made Muhammad Ali as well as other great boxers of our time into the legendary names that they were by his promotional skills. And he said this to me on the stage when I was with him and Donald Trump, along with Dr. Ben Carson and others that were there. Omarosa even was there with us. We were on the Sean Hannity show. But he said this, and it made me think about it, and I wanted to share it with you. He said that he believes that we as political pundits judge Trump as some type of politician, and that's the exact wrong way to judge him. King's known him for over 25 years. Trump himself said that Don knows him probably better than anybody. He's known all of his wives and knows his children. He's known him over 25 years. And he says that's the wrong way to judge Trump. You can't judge him as a politician. You have to judge him as a businessman. And it made me think about one of my Twitter followers, and you can follow me at Twitter, at RevCLBryant, at RevCLBryant, and be sure to go to TheCLBryantShow, at TheCLBryantShow, if you want to follow us on Twitter. It made me think about one of my Twitter followers who says, well, he should be doing well. His father gave him $1 million. That doesn't necessarily mean that a person is going to be able to be successful even if they get $1 million. Ask anyone who's won and lost a lottery pool. I've known a lot of rich kids who got a fortune from their fathers, and they don't have it now. Trump, on the other hand, being the businessman that he is, has won, he's lost. There's no question about it. But he's still way ahead in the game when it comes to looking at what that initial investment was and to what he has actually turned it into. And so I think Don King may actually have a point there. We have to judge Trump by his business acumen, and it is easy to see what he has done with the talent that he has been given by his creator to make money with his business acumen. On the other hand, we have Hillary Clinton, who will be facing him off. She's had over 30 debates. She's been in this political arena for nearly 30 years. Both of them are formidable opponents. I just hope that both of them stay on the high road, and I certainly hope that they don't reach for the hand of the devil and take the low road in this debate tonight. But coming up, we will definitely see here in just about 2 hours who, in fact, will come out the winner of this debate. It is up to you, the listener. You can hear it right here on 710 Keel, or the viewer, and I'm sure you can watch it just about anywhere on any of the news channels. And you will then have to make your decision here in just about 44 days from tonight. Coming up on the other side of the break will be Vincent Hill, who is the host of a podcast show that airs weekly called Behind the Badge. And I encourage all of you to stay tuned in lieu of all of the hoopla, all of the swirl that's going around here in America over the shootings that have occurred in this country. His point of view and his perspective will be very important for us to hear. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking.
CL. Back with you on this Monday, and I'm really glad that you made it through the weekend. Evidently, if you're listening to my voice, if you're hearing me, then you made it, and I'm really glad you did. We're going to be on here in just a moment with Vincent Hill, the host of Beyond the Badge, a podcast that does emanate weekly throughout the nation and, of course, around the world. And we want to hear from him on key issues as far as police activity and the shootings that have been going on in our nation that have brought, well, so much attention, both positive and negative, to our police force. But first, I want to tell you about an event that's coming up tomorrow night at the oldest college west of the Mississippi. That is Centenary College, and it will feature Rear Admiral Charles Kubik as well as Stephanie Jasons. The topics will be the roots of terrorism and follow the money is what that's all about, and also understanding the threat of radical Islamic terror. It is one that is very appropriate for us to be tuned into, and you can be there tomorrow night at the Centenary College, and they will be at Anderson Auditorium, and your parking spaces will be lot 5 and 6. Tell them CL sent you. You're going to have a great time. But first, now I want to welcome to the show for the first time Vincent Hill, who is a police officer extraordinaire, formerly serving Nashville, but now has his own firm as a private investigator, and he has a podcast that I'm certain will take off like never before, especially when you, the largest listening audience here in the Arklatex, tune in. And we're going to let him tell you all about it, but let me welcome him. Vincent Hill, welcome to the CL Bryant Show.
CL, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, sir. Thank you.
My honor to have you, and thank you for your service to our community. And I want to also say this to you. I want to thank you. And is your father still alive? Is he still with us?
He is.
Please tell him that we thank him as well for his service to
sir.
our nation. Now, Vincent, tell us, let's start off by telling us first about Behind the Badge. What's that all about?
So Beyond the Badge is a podcast I started December of last year. So essentially, we always see these cases in mainstream media, and we always hear it one-sided about what police are doing wrong. And, of course, the race game is played in those in a lot of cases. So I wanted to give that show, as the perspective of a police officer, but more importantly, the perspective of a black man, to let people know, hey, don't believe everything you see in the media, you hear in the media. Think outside the box and think of legalities, and that way make your own decisions. So that's what Beyond the Badge is all about.
Beyond the Badge, folks, Beyond the Badge. It's something you and I can talk about this because we do bring a perspective here that most people don't see. But now, is there a stereotyping even of black police officers, not just police officers, but when you're black and you're behind the badge or beyond the badge or you're wearing the badge, is there even a stereotype of that in your experience?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And look no further than Charlotte. There was one of the civil rights leaders down in Charlotte who said, well, it doesn't matter that the officer that shot Keith Scott is black. The fact is he still wears a blue uniform.
Wow.
And, I dealt with that type of stuff every day when I was in the black community. Like, why are you here? We don't want you here. We don't like you. You're one of them. So you, as a black man, you get cast into that stereotype of you're being the bad guy. You're only here to cause harm to the black community, but that is the furthest thing from the truth.
I certainly hope that we're starting a conversation here today, Vincent Hill, and we're on with Vincent Hill, who is the host of Beyond the Badge, a podcast. When can we hear that? Where can we hear it, and how do we get a hold of you?
It's Tuesday nights on radioinfluence.com, 8 p.m. every Tuesday, and I can be found on Twitter at Vincent Hill TV, and it has my link to my website. and everything you need to know about me is there.
Do it, folks. Go there, and we're going to be talking about that, and he's going to announce it again before we're finished here tonight. But now, this is a conversation that must be had, and it does appear that those who I would call, and Vincent, you know I'm a conservative black man who supports the blue in everything I do. But I want to make certain that those who go beyond sometimes and sometimes abuse even the authority that we give to those men and women who see the underbelly of society. Whenever they abuse that, they have to be accountable as well. And that's the conversation that we have to have in a very measured and calm way. But there seems to be people who would not want that conversation to take place. Why is that?
Well, and you're right. There are officers that abuse their power, abuse what they do. But when you look at it big scale, 99% of the officers out there are doing what they're supposed to do legally by the use of force continuum. Look no further than Freddie Gray, for instance, in Baltimore. Those 6 officers were charged, but it was a black judge who said, hey, there's not enough evidence to suggest these officers did anything wrong. They followed procedure. They followed the use of force continuum. So I think the bigger picture overall, CL, is that we need to come together not only as the black community, but as this country and say, hey, look, this is what police are trained to do. This is what they're legally allowed to do. And this is how you interact with police to make sure the situation does not escalate. Until we start having those conversations, I think we'll continue to see the protests, the riots, and everything else we've been seeing.
In the situation that occurred in both Charlotte and Tulsa, I have talked to local officers as well, and you used a word that I want to talk with you about when we come back, and that is a situation that escalates. How then do we de-escalate that without taking the teeth out of why we have police officers on the street to begin with? I'm on with Vincent Hill, Beyond the Badge. He is the host of Beyond the Badge, and when we return, I want him to tell you more about that show, and we're going to talk about how we can better serve our community here as citizens and relate to our men and women in blue. I'm CL. Don't go away. CL. Back with you on this Monday night. Don't forget that tonight at the Caddo Parish GOP, Caddo GOP is hosting Make America Great Again debate party. 7:30, Cantina Laredo, 6535 Uri Drive is where you need to be. That's the Make America Great Again party at Cantina Laredo, 6535 Uri Drive, hosted by Caddo GOP. Now, folks, we're back with Vincent Hill, who is the host of Beyond the Badge. Now, Vincent, tell us again, how do we get a hold of you? Tell us about Beyond the Badge and what that's about. Jay, he's there? Vincent?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about Beyond the Badge and tell us how to get a hold of you again.
Yeah. Beyond the Badge, every Tuesday, 8 p.m., radioinfluence.com, and you can follow me on Twitter, Vincent Hill TV, at Vincent Hill TV.
Now, we were going to talk about escalation. Some are saying that there were ways to de-escalate this from a police perspective, both in Charlotte and in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. Now, let's get it from a policeman's perspective about complying with police orders when you are pulled over or when you are looked at as a suspect. Tell folks how to allow that situation to be one where both parties go home happy.
Well, I'm glad you used the word compliance, CL, and I'll take Charlotte first, Keith Scott. Now, we heard on the cell phone video and police video several commands, drop the gun, which police are not required to do once they feel that threat. However, the situation could have gone a lot different had Keith Scott dropped the gun or there was no gun in his possession. See, the thing people need to understand is police do not de-escalate deadly force. You react to deadly force with deadly force because not only as a police officer do they have the right to protect themselves, as a citizen of the United States, they have the right to protect themselves from imminent bodily injury or death, right?
Right.
You have that right, I have that right.
Right.
So compliance would have made that go totally different, even with Tulsa. Now, I understand people say he was unarmed, his hands were up. I watched the video. I did see his right hand go down. But when you look at it big picture, a 911 call, he got out of the vehicle, said it was going to blow up. The officer arrived. He did not follow commands. Once someone is outside of a vehicle, an officer's objective is to keep them out. Why? Because we don't know what's inside that vehicle. If you're not stopping when I tell you to, I'm thinking as an officer, you may be going to get something to cause harm to me.
Right. And listen, and folks, listen, that's, you may say, well, it could have been, but no, the training of how to handle certain situations would be the same if any one of you listeners out there were, in fact, in the same situation.
Same situation. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I can go down the list of officers, female officers, male officers, who have either been hurt or killed by a quote-unquote unarmed suspect. So, you know, I take that with a grain of salt every time I hear it. But like you said, anyone in that same situation, and I said this Saturday on a news network, I was sitting across from someone with the color of change. I said, look, we can argue race all we want. And he was a black guy. I said, but if I approached you with a firearm and you were armed to protect yourself, you would be well within your right to use deadly force against me.
Yes.
Whether you're police or whether you're a civilian, it's the same thing.
And so we get back to compliance. If this person who could hear, and if this person who evidently, I don't know, one of them may not have been in his right mind, according to his wife, I don't know, but he could hear, and evidently he was driving a vehicle, so he could function. And so if you can hear and function, and the authority that citizens give to police officers, and citizens, keep in mind, these are the people who serve and protect you. And when you have given them the authority to do their job, then the people who come under the command of a police officer, really, when they disrespect them, they're disrespecting your authority. Is, in fact, that lost on the citizenry? Is that when the police officer represents the citizenry?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up about what his wife said, that he had a traumatic brain injury. Well, 2 points I want to say to that. A, in the heat of the moment, either police are not hearing that because they're focused on the threat, or B, even if they are hearing it, A, people lie to police all the time. You know, that's a fact. And B, in reality, it would have nothing to do with that situation at that time, because is the officer then going to say, well, maybe I should let this guy shoot and kill me first because he has a brain injury? No, he's not, because at the end of the day, his job is to protect not only himself, his partners, the community, and if he fails at doing that, whose fault is it?
And if he doesn't, folks, I want you to hear this. If the officer does not protect themselves first, they can't protect you. Do you understand me, folks? That's why we call them the thin blue line. We let people start taking out the line. The alternative is you. Do you understand me, folks?
Absolutely.
And so, Vincent, I got to have you on here regularly. But one last time, give us how do we get a hold of Beyond the Badge, and how do we get a hold of your thoughts?
Beyond the Badge, every Tuesday, 8 p.m., radioinfluence.com. I assure you don't want to miss it. Tomorrow's show is all about Charlotte. I also mentioned 5 white people killed by white police officers the same day that Keith Scott was killed in Charlotte, North Carolina, and why the mass media has not covered that. It's the same situation. The threat, the guns, the noncompliance led to that, but we're still led to believe that it's only happening in the black community.
Amazing.
I urge people to believe that it's not a black issue. It is an issue of understanding police and how to act with police. So,
Vincent, I got to leave it right there, man. Got to leave it right there, but thank you so much for being on. Talk to you soon.
yes.
Vincent Hill, Beyond the Badge. I'm CL. I'll be back beyond the commercial break. CL, back with you on this Monday night. And, of course, the only competition to tonight's debate will be Monday Night Football. Those with DVRs will have it DVR'd, I'm sure, especially if we have political interest. Said all that to say this. On the line with me now is a Super Bowl champion, a friend of mine who has been on the show on several occasions. He is Burgess Owen, and he has, in fact, he's an author, and, of course, he is a conservative like yours truly. Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. Burgess, thank you so much for being there.
CL, how you doing, my friend? Good talking to you once again.
Well, you as well, Burgess, you as well. Now, I have a bone to pick with the NFL personally, Burgess, because they haven't spoken up about what I would consider foolishness that's going on in the organization. And I want to get your take on how you feel about 40-plus yesterday NFL players who, in my opinion, disrespected the American flag. What do you say?
Well, I think the way it works out is that socialists normally do what they can get away with until it starts hitting their pocketbook. And I agree. I think it's to a point now where we have to understand our country is it's getting to the point where it's more and more difficult to find really strong, principled men. And the NFL is a great example of that. They're trying to do the political correct thing. And until conservatives stand up and show them that we're not going to put up with it anymore, they will continue to do this. So my thoughts very simply, and I was raised by a very principled dad.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that I realized later on while he was in the process of going through it, I asked, why, Dad? Why you go through all this? But at the end of the day, he was standing for something that made him feel good about who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And as Americans, as men, we need to do the same thing. We need to turn off this TV when it comes down to football games if we have to, guys. I mean, if we want to teach our kids a lesson about principle, how about showing them how we can, even though we love our Dallas Cowboys or 49ers,
go boys,
stand for the principle, let's turn them off.
Hey, them boys showed up last night. Of course, we were playing the Bears, but still they showed up real good last night. The Saints are on tonight, but I'll be watching the debate. But you said something very interesting, Burgess, and that is, as far as this circumstance is concerned, we need to vote with the Nielsen ratings. We need to hit them where it hurts in the pocketbooks. And this is what I have said, the same thing that was said about the Dixie Chicks. Just shut up and sing. And Burgess, even though I know that you have a wonderful mind, I've had a chance to meet you and talk to you in person, live and in person. And I know you have a wonderful mind because I'm going to let you tell about the book here in just a minute. But when you were out there playing defensive back on the gridiron, what I was paying my money to see was Burgess do his thing on the gridiron. I was not interested in your political opinion at that point in time, Burgess. So tell us about the book.
And I tell you, and that's the way we have to do this. And you hit on the head. It's really all about understanding the freedom process. You know, we in the country, we vote every single years. We vote to our principles and our values. And we also vote every single day our financial priorities. And when we have a product that we don't look at as standing for our country, let's not buy the product. Let's do a little delayed gratification. Let's hold off for a season.
When I hear people
come back,
Burgess, referring to Colin Kaepernick as Rosa Parks in modern day America, man, it actually makes me mad. I got to tell you, just got to tell you, it makes me mad. How does it affect you? You're a little bit older than I am. How does that affect you?
Yeah, we came through the same era where we really understood what true institutional racism was all about. And it's also, I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm tired of my ancestors being devalued the way they are. These young people have no idea what it was to come through a time where they were really fighting for their lives and fighting for the right to do exactly what they're doing today. But here's what we have to understand, and this is this, I mean, we're talking about race right now. The end of the day is really not about race. It's about ideology. See, what we have is we have socialists that are now intertwining themselves with a black color to try to get people to come their way. What they're trying to do right now, very simply, is they've been breeding black voters for decades. They breed our poor for their votes. They breed our daughters for their babies. At the end of the day, it's the Democratic Party that uses this breeding technique so they get more and more power. They could care less about black lives. They can really care less about this quarterback. The life that he's about to throw away, they can care less about. They want to make sure that Hillary gets elected, and they know they need 90 to 95% of black votes to do it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. You know what, Burgess? They put this guy, of course, I haven't bought a Time magazine, and I couldn't tell you when, but I can tell you what. I won't be buying one for a long, long time unless you're on it. I'll buy it if they put you on it, but I won't be buying the one with Colin Kaepernick on the front page of it. And that's how you vote. You vote with your dollar as far as that's concerned. Now, I hear that this is spreading. I understand that you had high school students at some of their games, not only just taking a knee, but they laid on their backs. Burgess, there's a design behind this. It appears, and that's one of my favorite words, there's a design behind this. Where do you see this going? Where will this end?
I understand, again, understand this is a fight of ideology. And also understand where the genesis of this whole Black Lives Matter and this lack of respect for America begins. It begins with white liberal Democrats. It begins with the owners of BET, Redstones, and Viacom. They have for 15 years been purposely putting into our community anti-white, anti-police, anti-American, anti-family liberal filth to get to the point they are today with these young people who've grown up all their lives. That's all they've heard. All they've heard all their lives is how everybody's against them, that they are the poor and oppressed. They have no idea that is the biggest that is
hustle. It's a big hustle.
An insult.
Yeah.
Well, it's a hustle, but it's an insult. It's an insult to our parents who did everything they could to give them the right to do what they're doing today. But at the end of the day, it is all designed by socialists, white liberal socialists behind the curtains of blackness that have been from the very beginning, from NAACP, we've talked about this before, to the BET, to get to where they can use our people for their design. And at the end of the day, we have to decide whether we're going to fight for our country or not. And to get back to those who listen to this our conversation, it means giving up sometimes, guys, something we might want to give up. We love our game of football, but I tell you, do we love our country more? You know, we had our fathers and our grandfathers and great-grandfathers that went and died and fought for us so we can have the fields we have. Can we give up a little bit of TV, a little bit of football, show our kids what real principles are all about so that Nielsen ratings reflect our disgust with these socialists and these weak, whiny men with the NFL.
I want you to talk a little bit more about weak and whiny when we come back, when we talk about your book. But there's also a phrase that I believe you have just entered into the C.L. Bryant lexicon, and that is white liberal socialist behind the curtain of blackness. Burgess, that, my friend, was poetic. And that is exactly what is going on. There are white liberal socialists who hide themselves behind the curtain of blackness. I'm going to be back with Super Bowl champ Burgess Owens, and he's going to tell us about his book, and we're going to talk more with him when I return. I'm CL.
About to check outside the game. And you know that.
CL back with you. We're on with Super Bowl champion Burgess Owen. And Burgess, welcome back to the CL Bryant Show. Tell us all, we were talking about being wimpy. Burgess was talking about being wimpy and how men are being produced here these days who are kind of wimpy. Tell them about your book, Burgess, because you really hit the nail on the head with that.
Well, thanks, CL. I appreciate that. And the name of my book is called Liberalism, or How to Turn Good Men into Whiners, Weenies, and Wimps. It is actually a celebration of a great race, a great history of a black community that unfortunately the history has been stolen from us, and therefore we're left feeling that we've been oppressed for all these years, and we're victors over a lot of the issues that were being pushed at us. At the same time, it's a storyline that helps you understand the stealth and the deceit of liberalism. It talks about the cowardice and the bulliness of the white liberals who always hide behind black people to get their deal done. It's like the Negro Project. Margaret Sanger used black ministers during the 30s to push out abortion because she couldn't do it with her face. She just used black people and paid them, and that's what's been happening with NAACP and BET. So it's really something that we can all together as Americans, and it's also the greatest tribute to me for America, for what we are. Because we are, as a culture, we the people, have been the greatest thing that has ever graced this earth because of the culture we put together and the fight we fought together and the talents we've come together to win with.
We're the greatest.
Let's do that again.
We're the greatest success story the world has ever known, Burgess. And tonight, folks, at Cantina Laredo, Make America Great Again party. You can be a part of that. That's at 6535 Uri Drive there. I think that's Belmead Shopping Center. Just go in there and have some fun. The Caddo GOP will be taking it on, and Burgess Owens, who I'm on with right now, who is a Super Bowl champ himself, is just made that opening for me to tell you about it, because America is a great nation. And Burgess did say something a little bit earlier that I want to reiterate, and that is this: white liberal socialists often hide behind the curtain of blackness. You can see it so plainly. Burgess, that was just so poetic and right on par. Now, give us your website. How do we get a hold of you?
You can get me at first of all at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, but also reach my Facebook page at Burgess Owens Official, and we have discussions about this continually. And see how, as we mentioned before, together we can get this thing done with by supporting the black conservatives out there on the ground. See, I was one of the ones who listened to the back of my book, along with other 15 others, and we can get this thing done with as a team. So let's know we're in a fight and use our talents the best way we can to get the word out, get people proud of our country once again.
Absolutely. And, Burgess, tonight, 56 years ago, the first televised presidential debate took place between Kennedy and Nixon. And so many who heard the televised debate thought that Nixon won it on radio. But those who saw it on television thought Kennedy won. It'll be very interesting to see how the pundits and all the spinmeisters will spin this one. Burgess, I want to thank you for being on with me. We will have you. Listen, I probably want to do a postmortem with you next week. I want to talk to you a little bit more about how the progressive liberals are using that curtain of blackness to fan the flames over these police shootings next week. Yes. So Michelle will be in touch with you then. Listen, man, God bless you. God keep you, brother.
I look forward to it, my friend. Let's keep it going. All the best. Take care.
You too. All right. Now, folks, tonight, the Caddo Parish GOP is hosting Make America Great Again. That's a debate party that will be going on there at Cantina Laredo at 6535 Uri Drive. Pardon me. And join our rowdy friends there. Well, it won't be too rowdy. You can go. You can go out there and have a great time. It'll be Republicans. It'll be a great time. You can even take the family. It's a great time. It's Republican. It's not a progressive liberal gathering. It's a Republican gathering. Take the family. It's going to be fantastic. Coming up in the show is Dina DeCamp, She is with the National Federation of Republican Women from the state of Florida. And of course, you know, Florida is a swing state. And we're going to be talking about how and why we should look to Florida as far as handing it to Trump. I was just in Palm Beach, Florida over the weekend. Was just there. Folks, you got to pardon me. Please forgive me. Got to have a, I don't know what it is, Michelle.
I don't know what it is.
It comes a certain time, and I say this all the time, but at a certain point in time in this room, I get choked up. Got to call my fresh air specialist to come back. It's me thinking about her.
I know.
That's what it is.
Whenever we talk about Hillary, you get all choked up. I do too, though. It's funny how that works.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone as far as that's concerned. Yeah, I think it's past now. One of our news pundits on Fox had a coughing fit here.
And we're hoping to
a little bit
not
earlier.
to wish evil on our enemies, but I hear that some people suspect Hillary may have a choking fit tonight.
I hope she jokes anyway. But not you know, anyway. But anyway, we'll see what happens with Hillary at Hofstra University. You can see with some of your closest friends and GOP supporters at Cantina Laredo tonight, 65-35. And don't forget that tomorrow night, on the historic campus of Centenary College, you can, in fact, join so many who are of like mind and who are very interested in combating the evils of terror here in this country. The special guest tomorrow night will be Rear Admiral Charles Kubik and Stephanie Jason. And the topics will cover Islamic terrorism and understanding the root causes of that and how it has taken root here in America. Doors will open tomorrow night, and that's the Anderson Auditorium. I believe that's right. The Anderson Auditorium tomorrow night. And it's free to the public, 6:30. Be there or be square. I'll be announcing it a little bit more as we go on. Coming up in the show is not only Dina DeCamp, but also Tiffany Easter of the Young College Republicans. I'm CL. Don't go away. It's the CL Bryant Show.
We don't have no plastic LA friends. Ain't on the edge of no popular trend. Ain't never seen the inside of that magazine GQ.
Macy's shooter, a Turkish immigrant, is who he was. He took out 4 women and a man. He killed 5. I'll take your calls at 320-5335. 320-5335 is the number to call. And if you want to talk, I'll be happy to talk to you. Who do we have, Michelle?
Frazier.
Frazier, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend? Frazier? Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
CL, this is Lewis.
Hey, Lewis. Oh, it's Lewis. Okay. Lewis, how are you, brother? What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to call and thank you so much on behalf of the Caddo Parish Republican Party and conservatives everywhere for the time you spent tonight getting the word out about our Make America Great Again debate party at Cantina Laredo.
Well, thank you.
It's an excellent opportunity for folks to come together, and we're just so grateful that you have given conservatives, especially in our community, such a wonderful and
thank you, Lewis,
clairvoyant voice that you've been able to provide.
Thank you, Lewis. And listen, folks, going out there, Louis Abalone is the chair of our Caddo GOP. And let me tell you something. This will be one of those, and this is a 90-minute debate without commercials. So it will be nonstop. Exactly what we want to see is our candidate, our nominee, Donald J. Trump, who will be on stage with the progressive liberal candidate, who is Hillary Rodham Clinton, and it will be a great time to go out and see who is among us who is about our conservative values and Republican Party. Lewis, I want to thank you for being there. It is a time now for all of us to band together, and of course, all of you should go and vote. How important is it for us to vote, Lewis? How important is it for us to vote?
Gracious. And that, that is not only an important right that we have, but it is an obligation as citizens of this country.
Absolutely, it is an obligation as citizens of this country. Louis Abalone, want to thank you. God bless, God keep you. That is tonight, folks. Make America Great Again debate party, 7:30, Cantina Laredo, 6535 Uri Drive. Caddo Parish GOP is, in fact, the sponsor of that. Go on out. Shake hands with Lewis. Go and tell him I sent you. Tell him CL sent you. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you,
God
Lewis.
Bless you. Take care.
You have 1 hour and a half. 1 hour and a half to get there. Plenty of time to get there. And it will be on. It's going to be on tonight. This is well anticipated. 56 years ago tonight. And that's very apropos, I think. You had the very first presidential debate televised. And that was the one between Kennedy and Richard Milhouse Nixon. Both of them went on to be president, but Kennedy was the one who gained the most from the first televised debate. I certainly would like it if Hillary came out as weather-worn and kind of sweaty as Nixon was. They said, I was just a little kid. I remember my folks listening to it. I was alive. There. I was in black and white. They're going to tell you, folks that were listening to it on radio thought Nixon won. Folks that saw it on television thought Kennedy won because Kennedy looked calm, cool, and collected. That's all I'm hoping for tonight, that Donald Trump appears to be calm, cool, and collected. Folks, 4 women and 1 man lost their lives in a Macy's department store in Houston, Texas. One of the ladies that was killed was a cancer survivor, only to go to a Macy's and lose her life to a Turkish immigrant. One of the other ladies that lost her life was a 94-year-old woman who had lived to survive life itself. 94, listen, you live to be 94 years old. You've survived a lot of life. And you are in a Macy's department store at 94 years old, and you catch a bullet by a Turkish immigrant who may be trying to make a point to his father or whatever. We haven't been able to decipher it yet. But I got to tell you something. There she was at 94 years of age, still able to enjoy life, browsing in a Macy's department store, and she loses her 94 years on this earth to this type of incident. You know what's going to stop it? Because, let me tell you, they like to call us intolerant. But folks, this type of actions these types of actions that are occurring against American citizens in soft target areas, they're going to have to be met with swift, sure, decisive justice to those who dare carry out such a heinous act. The man that lost his life lost it shielding his wife from being shot by this maniac. He did it. He's guilty. We have the right guy. Need we say more? There's a way to stop this. And the message has to be sent to an America that's reeling out of control with violence against American citizens. I'm CL. I'll be back in a minute. CL. Back with you on this Monday evening here, broadcasting live from the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier, my home. And I am joined now, excuse me, by young college Republican Tiffany Easter. And Tiffany, now you know that the biggest event in all of the political world is taking place on stage in just about an hour and 40 minutes. Now, both of us are Republicans. Do you think that the female factor with Hillary will be an obstacle that pundits and even those of us who are watching it, do you think we're going to be actually trying to see how he handles himself? What's the obstacles that Trump's going to have to navigate, in your opinion?
I think he's going to have to navigate name calling. I think people are looking to watch him and see how many times he's going to call someone stupid or dumb. I think for millennials, I'm in a political communications class, and something that we discussed last week is we really want to see him talk about policies. He's gotten to where he is now, and so now, we need to know, okay, you say you're going to pay for the wall. How are you going to pay for it? We want to know the details of all of his policies. So I think he's going to have to let loose of all of the name calling and the mudslinging and really get to his policies.
You bring up something really interesting, Tiffany, and that's because we have gotten to that point in this election season, presidential election season, where we really haven't heard much about either one, not from either one of them, about what do we do after Obama is gone. And so that's something that is important to the millennial generation that you represent, and representing very well. Now, as far as the college is concerned, the college campus is concerned, what are you seeing on college campuses? As far now, here you are, a young college Republican, and in this climate that we're in right now, how's that playing for you?
I really think it depends on where you're at in the United States. For a campus like Louisiana Tech, we are a very conservative campus as a whole. Being in the South and being a public university, we're a very conservative campus, but nobody really wants to cause any trouble. Everybody's laying low for both sides for the most part. No one's causing trouble. But, you get into cities where the outrages are, and like UNC Chapel Hill, they have all of the bathroom issues, and just liberalism is raging on their campus. So I really think it depends on what campus you're at and where you are specifically. But I would say it's one extreme or the other. You're either pro-Hillary, or pro-Trump.
And so with that in mind, the supporters of Trump tonight, their minds aren't going to be changed, and the supporters of Hillary. But there is that in between. There are independents.
Yes, sir.
There are people yet to be had. When we're talking about 100 million folks, how many people? I have Ronnie Remedies, who is the owner of Executive Sedan, here with me, the official car of the CL Bryant Show. Ronnie, 100 million. That many don't watch Super Bowl, do they?
No. It's going to exceed what is normally expected to watch a Super Bowl.
That's amazing. So, Tiffany, the point that I was making then is that many people don't even vote. Right. That many people don't vote, but yet you're going to have infused in that independence. So, with Gary Johnson in this race, and I'm seeing a lot of millennials who say, "Well, I like Gary." Why is that? Is that a protest vote? Is that a wasted vote? How do you see that?
I hate to say it, but I do think it is a wasted vote. I really do. He's not even on the debate stage tonight, and he's been trying so hard. I do think it is a wasted vote to go independent at all at this point. And so I think what Trump is going to need to do tonight in the debate is to be realistic, to talk, because millennials, a reason they like Gary Johnson is he sounds realistic.
Yeah.
Trump doesn't sound realistic.
Yeah.
Clinton doesn't sound realistic.
I can see that. I can see exactly where you're coming from with that.
Right.
Because he's sort of a Bernie Sanders light.
Right.
That's one thing millennials that I've talked to who said they'll vote for Trump liked about Bernie. And that's what they like about Trump, is that he comes off as real,
Right.
not phony. Let me ask you about the two-party system. At your age, are you able to look down the road and still see a two-party system, or is we going to morph into something else, in your opinion?
I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but I think we'll morph into something else. I think particularly because the Republican Party is at a very difficult crossroads right now with this election. You have the Republican Party that is known for being conservative, but we're in an election season where conservative doesn't always mean Republican to a lot of older Republican members. And so I think that with my generation, we're going to have to define conservatism and see if that, redefine it as to what it means for us and see if that plays into, the Republican Party and what they believe in the future.
Well, I have someone here who's not quite as, in fact, he's not nearly as old as I am because I went to school with his daddy. But tonight, Ronnie, what's amazing is that this is a Monday night football night. Even the Saints are on tonight. Although both of us are Cowboy fans.
That's right.
Go Boys. But do you think that when we look at the north and south of it, most of you conservatives, if you look at the map, are here in the South. How then, in your opinion, do you think regionalism will come into this? Have you given that any thought? Do you think that, or is Trump one of those candidates who might be universal? How do you look at that?
Well, if you look at the electoral map nationwide, I think historically, and it's ringing true in this election, that the left coast and out on the East Coast are both going to be usually for the Democrat, and I think that's ringing true. But the some of the states that were battlegrounds that were just automatically given to Clinton are now becoming really, really tight races, and Colorado and Pennsylvania being two of the closest races, almost in a dead heat within a margin of error. So I think that we're going to see lots of surprises, and this will be an election that we'll talk about for the next 50 years, and I've said that a lot.
Stay with me, Ronnie. You have something coming up on the 19th of October that I'm going to be a part of, that I want to talk to all of you about. Tiffany, stay just where you are, and I'll be back in just a minute. I'm CL.
The sound of your own wheels drive you crazy.
CL. Back with you, joined by my young friend Tiffany Easter, young college Republicans there at Louisiana Tech, and also my good friend Ronnie Remedies, who is the owner of Executive Sedan. You need a car for any reason to show yourself or drive you around the Arklatex. Call Executive Sedan. It is the car of choice here at the CL Bryant Show. In fact, it is the official car of the CL Bryant Show. Now, coming up in this show as well is Dina DeCamp, and she is with the National Federation of Republican Women in Florida. And we're going to have a conversation with her as well as my guest who are here with me in studio when she comes in. Tonight, all of you know, the debate for the ages, at least ours, will be taking place at Hofstra College there in Hempstead, Long Island, actually New York, but Long Island, it's a beautiful place up there. Long Island is just a great place to be anyway. And we're going to come out of that. We're going to see just how these two candidates handle themselves, and I hope neither of them reach out to grab the hand of the devil and take the low road. We need to talk policy. Now, Tiffany, we were talking about policy. What is the most pressing thing from your point of view that need discussion on that debate stage tonight that has not been talked about in this entire campaign from your point of view?
Could be several things. One of the things that jumps out to me that I don't know that will be discussed or that it should per se, but for states such as Louisiana, we have an incredible senatorial race going on that very few people know about. And so for one thing from a millennial standpoint that my friends and I have been talking a lot about is not forgetting about that race as well. Because those are the people that, are passing legislation and voting on it. And, people are talking about a possibility of a government shutdown happening at the end of this week on Friday at midnight. And so one of the things that a president brings to that is the ability to work with his Congress and not be so separated. And so how do both of these candidates plan to work with the House of Representatives and the Senate?
You know what? You bring up an incredibly interesting point because I like to see how millennials look at this from your perspective. When we talk about government shutdown and what does that bring about in the mind of a millennial when we talk about the government shutting down? How are you seeing it?
Well, honestly, we don't really know, if I'm being honest. Millennials don't necessarily know the repercussions of a government shutdown. I know that means a lot of civilian jobs that work in the government, those get put on hold for, nobody knows how long.
Right.
Pay cuts. But as far as what that actually looks like, I don't think millennials really understand.
And you know what?
That.
Millennials are not by themselves, are they, Ronnie?
No.
Because most people don't understand that the government continues to operate just fine. Ronnie, why don't you speak to it just a little bit?
Well, I think that what we see when we hear about a government shutdown, what we're looking at Friday, is you get a lot of people that run for office and talk about they're going to go to Washington and they're going to make things happen, they're going to get things done. But part of that is negotiation, and part of that is reaching some sort of an agreement. So for both sides to cross their arms and sit down and allow the American people's lives to be affected, I think is a bit irresponsible. So what do we expect is, I think from a business owner in mid-30s, is for someone to step up to the microphone and propose a solution that everybody can live with.
And, folks, we're talking budget here as far as this is concerned. Now, let me tell you this. Any country that has ever gotten to the debt ratio, the debt level, as far as we're 19 trillion is projected this time next year. We'll be far into the $20 trillion debt level as far as America is concerned. The outcome has never been well. It has always been very tragic. However, when we talk about a government shutdown, Social Security checks still go out. The Army is still functional and all of that. But there are certain things that we will not fund, that we cannot fund. And that's because it is shut down until we come to, as you said, Ronnie, some type of agreement on how this is done. Now, Republicans have not had the stomach for it because they're afraid of being blamed for shutting down. And this is this imaginary thing in our head. You know, we can always spend money, but the thing that goes on in the heads of Republicans has been placed there by progressive liberals. You guys are evil. You're shutting the government down. No, that really doesn't happen. The old people still get their old people stuff. And, things continue to rock along. But there comes a point in time where we say, hey, look, we can't proceed any further until we come to some type of agreements. Obama has made it and hung it around the necks of Republicans with the words government shutdown. Reagan said, okay, if NAFTA wants, you're a pilot. Reagan said, okay, when the air controllers wanted to go on strike, okay,
Yeah.
we'll break this.
Let them cut down. You know, I was in Washington a few years ago when they had the last government shutdown, and they began to put up barricades around national monuments that weren't even manned. And we went out to see the home of George Washington, which is privately funded. And I remember the staff discussing that they had been called by the political insiders in Washington and asked them to close, and they said, well, we're not government funded.
Hold that thought, Ronnie. We're going to be back with Dina DeCamp on the C.L. Bryant Show.
Here comes old Rosie, she's looking mighty fine. Here comes Hot Nancy, she's stepping right on time.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
49 minutes from right now, you will be able to hear the live broadcast of, got to tell you, it'll be a rumble in the jungle, as my newfound friend Don King would have said there in Cleveland on this station, 710 Keel. And, of course, you'll be able to hear it on Fox and all of the other news affiliates around the country. Joining me on the line now is Dina DeCamp, who is National Federation of Republican Women state president there in the state of Florida. I was just there in where was I, Michelle? Palm Beach, Florida, over the weekend with some really great Republicans and conservatives there. Dina, welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show. Dina? There she is. Dina, welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show.
Well, hi there.
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad.
I'm doing great.
I'm really glad that you're on with us. And are you at a debate party, or how are you gonna view this tonight?
Well, actually, I'll be viewing it at home with my husband because he's been walking around town wearing a button that says "Pity me, my wife works for the GOP."
I do like that. I do like that. Well, Florida is a swing state, and Trump at this point is winning within the margin of error there in Florida. And let me ask you this: from the meeting that I left in Florida on this past weekend, I was very encouraged at the enthusiasm that is building there in South Florida. Are you seeing the same thing happening around the state?
I am actually. I think that the pollsters, if they came down to Florida, would be reevaluating their numbers. I live in Central Florida, and I can't tell you how excited, how pumped up everybody is. Our phone banks are up and running, and unlike the Romney campaign, our people are just like everybody's for Trump. They're having very few people that are not for Trump. It's really exciting. We've got, I have to tell you real quick, we closed up the office this evening, and my battery was dead in my car, and so we're sitting in the parking lot waiting for rescue, and a gentleman pulls in with his wife, and they said, is this the Trump office? I'm like, yes, and she goes, we're from Tennessee. Can we come in and get some stuff?
Wow.
Sure. So we opened up the office, locked it up after they were done, and 5 minutes later, a guy walked around from the front of the office. He was from Georgia.
Wow. Dina, I want you to tell
Yeah.
I want you to tell our audience we're broadcasting, being heard across the nation. And I want, and we got 45 minutes now before this debate takes place. I want you to speak to women across the nation, both Republican and Democrat women across the nation, why you feel Donald Trump is the candidate that American women should consider and vote for.
You know, the thing about Donald Trump, and I've met the man, he's a very considerate, very attentive person. I was very impressed with this man because as a woman, most men will tend to nod their head and kind of look over your shoulder and look for the next person. At least all politicians do that, want to look for the next person they can talk to. This man took my hands, leaned towards me, and listened to every single word I had to say, commented on it, and treated me as his equal. I was so impressed with that. This man had never met me before in his life. He is a considerate man, and for all those women out there that want to say, how can you tell? Look at his children. Those children are amazing. Every woman in the world would want to have children that were as accomplished and as intelligent and as nice as those people are. I can't tell you enough how impressed we are with the Trump family.
Yeah, they are. I was with him in Cleveland last week, did the Hannity show with him and about 20 other people who were there on stage with us, and I got a chance to speak to him and Mike. Mike Pence was there as well. And I know that he has now the Republican man vote. And this is what I said to him. Got a chuckle out of him over it. I said, now, on that debate stage, maybe you need to be nice and get the women on board as well. And so I am very glad to see that the National Federation of Republican Women are standing strong with our candidate. Were you surprised at some who wanted? I'm talking about in the good old boy. And listen, I'm a loyal Republican, but I was very disappointed in some of our folks initially. They seem to be coming around now, but I was very disappointed in some of our folks who seem to want to boycott the nominee. How are you seeing that beginning to gel? Are we beginning to shore it up again, in your opinion?
I think that they're starting to come around. Donald Trump has toned down the rhetoric, and he was using that that act that he put on initially to draw in the independents and the Democrats and the people who had not voted in a long time. And I think that now that he's toned that down, he's got these people listening to him. They're ready to come out and vote for him, even though they haven't voted in years, because they're looking and hearing a man talking to them specifically. So now that he has toned down that rhetoric and gotten back to a...
Hold that thought, Dina.
Sure.
Hold that thought. I have a young college Republican here. When we come back, I want you to pass on to her sort of a torch. I'm going to tell you how we're going to do that when I return. I'm CL. CL, back with you on this Monday evening in the Jewel, broadcasting from the Jewel cities of the Arklatex. On with me is Dina DeCamp, National Federation of Women, Florida State President. Dina, in the studio with me is a young college Republican. Her name is Tiffany Easter. And Dina, there is a job I believe that all of us as Republicans have to do, and that is to pass our story on, the Republican story, on to our young people. And this is the question that I have for you. If there is one bit of advice, if there's one pearl of wisdom that you can offer to our young Republican women, being the National Federation Republican Women there in Florida, what would that be to Tiffany? Tiffany, say hi to Miss Dina.
Hi, Miss Dina. How are you?
So,
Dina, are you there?
yes, I am.
Okay, what is that pearl of wisdom that you would pass on?
You know, I just want everybody to know that the excitement for Donald Trump is not a falsehood. There are people coming into campaign headquarters. In the last week, I had 4 in their 40s, their 50s, and their 70s, never, ever have registered or voted before, and they are all coming in to vote for Donald Trump. Democrats are coming through the doors telling us, I am a lifelong Democrat, I want a Trump shirt, and I am voting for Donald Trump. I have been working campaigns for years, and I have never seen it like this. Well, let me take that back. I saw it this way for Ronald Reagan. I'm not saying Donald Trump is Ronald Reagan. I'm saying that Ronald Reagan had a mission when he took over, when he ran against Jimmy Carter, and this is what Donald Trump is doing. He's running against Hillary Clinton and Obama and all of their terrible policies, and we know that Donald Trump is going to be the answer for America. We are going to make America great again, and it's not just him. It's going to be all of us helping him make America great again.
And our young people should see that. Our young people need to see that this is one thing I said on another Hannity show that I did the week before, and that is I believe Donald Trump is a perfect example of what a young person needs to understand how to operate within the free market system. He understands the free market system. He understands capitalism. Is that not what we want our young people to be exposed to? Someone who can show them how to be successful in this? Would you say, in your opinion?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I think that Donald Trump is going to be the person that's going to help put those people that are on food stamps and government handouts. He's the one who's going to put them back to work and show them how to do it. He's the one who's going to make them successful. He is going to make everybody in America wealthy again. I mean, we are all wealthy in certain ways, and money is not the only way you can be wealthy, but there is so much going on in our country. We're having riots. We're having, the crime is going out of commission. Children are not being properly educated. I really believe that this man can solve these problems because he's just got a lot of common sense. He's looking at this country the way he looks at a business. What is wrong and how do I fix it? And then he comes up with a plan to fix it. And I truly believe that this man is the man that's going to take care of these issues for all of us. And the young people are flowing through the doors. We have college students coming through the doors of our campaign headquarters every day wanting to sign up to volunteer for Mr. Trump. So, I'm just not believing the news pundits anymore because I'm just seeing the opposite of what they're reporting on the national news. None of that is happening in where I'm at, and Florida is going to go Republican all the way. We will be a red state again. We're going to vote for Mr. Trump. We're going to vote for Senator Rubio, and we're going to take all the down-ticket people with us. It's going to be a coattail ride all the way to the White House.
I'm gonna believe all of that with you. I really am. You know what? And that's very inspiring to hear you say that. Now, finally, this is my question to you: what if you were to be able to be in the green room with Trump right now? What advice would Dina DeCamp give to him just about 40 minutes before he goes on stage? What would you say to him?
I would tell him to be himself, to stay on message, and to make sure that every time Hillary says something, that we all know is a lie, that he calls her on it, because they will certainly call him every time they think that he is misrepresenting something, and I want to make sure that it is a two-way street on that stage tonight.
We'll be looking out for that. And you're right. We'll be looking out to see if the moderators of this debate skew this thing the way they did against Romney when he ran against Obama. Dina DeCamp, listen, God bless, God keep you, and your work there in Florida with the National Federation of Republican Women, which is an important swing state. And let me tell you, as far as our party is concerned, you're doing a great work, because I did feel the mood that is there in Florida, and it has to be partially, if not a lot, because of your work with the National Federation of the Republican Women. Thank you so much for being on with me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. I'm going to return to close it out here in just a couple of minutes, and I'm going to ask Tiffany Easter one last question when we return. Don't go anywhere. CL back. I've got to take this phone call right quick. And Tiffany, this is actually for you. This is Socialist Stephen who calls in, and I know that you have visited Russia on doing work there in Russia. And so so you've actually talked to real communists, and of course I think I have a pretending communist to be here on the line. Stephen, got to do it quick. We only have a very short time. What's your question for Tiffany?
Yeah, and I've been to Russia too. And by the way, look, I changed my mind. I'm going to vote for Trump. Changed my mind. Look,
there's a convert.
Told me this man's going to make me rich. I don't know how the hell he.
Oh, I told you that?
No, y'all just announced that 5 minutes ago.
No, I said I believe that Trump is the perfect example of a person who can tell young people how to engage the free market system. Tiffany, what do you say? Hold on.
He's absolutely the one that can do that. I mean, his children have proven that. He's proven that. And his economic plans are far better than Hillary's or any other person on the other side. So I think he's the perfect one to send us forward in capitalism and to grow our country again economically.
And, Stephen, we're going to hold you to your word to see if you're a man of your word. I'm going to walk one of the Black Panthers into the booth with you when you go to vote to make sure that you vote for Trump. And they're going to have a stick in their hand.
How can you have a capitalistic society with monopolies? Explain that to me.
You call me back next week, and I'll talk to you about it. I got to go. Cut him off, Michelle. We got to go. Well, folks, in about 35 minutes, the debate of the century will be taking place. Get your popcorn ready and your sweet teas. It's to all you Southerners. I don't know how you guys drink it anywhere else in the country. We're down here. We like our sweet. By the way, one of my drinks of choice is Arnold Palmer's half and half. And Arnie, has age of 87, has gone on, one of the greatest golfers of all times. Any of you duffers out there who like the game, you know the name because he made the golf game internationally famous. Arnold Palmer, rest in peace, Godspeed to the throne of grace, has gone on to meet his reward. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening here today. And I want to thank my friend Ronnie Ramirez for being here with me. And, of course, Tiffany Easter, Young College Republicans, for being here with me. And always, Michelle, keeping the trains running on time. Well, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day. And I want to thank him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, may God bless and keep you all.
Stand by your side, and the bond will never be torn. For those who wear the uniform.